It is Sunday, May 24th, 2026, and this is The High Road, Logistics and Leadership. I'm Elena Rossi, and I'm here to ensure we don't let innovation outrun our indemnity limits.
This is Buck Reynolds.
I'm Jules Sterling.
And I'm Dan Miller. We have a great show for you today.
Actually, before we dive into the chaos of this week, and it is, quite chaotic, we should look back at yesterday. We talked about Coupa's move into agentic AI, which Dan was, if I recall, comparing to a ball control offense, while Buck was, mostly just worried about robots taking the keys.
Look, I stand by it. But we also hit that STG logistics comeback and those smart trailers Phillips Connect is pushing.
Right. And don't forget that English proficiency vetting wall for drivers. That's still a huge point of friction in the talent pipeline.
It was a busy Saturday, but today is, it's arguably heavier. We are looking at a market in a total state of liability-induced shock. We're talking about the Supreme Court finally speaking on the broker shield, record-breaking spot rates, and a massive 5-year infrastructure bill that just cleared committee.
It's a lot to unpack, folks. We've got the rails making moves in Mexico, and honestly, the spot market right now is looking like a Hail Mary in the fourth quarter. It's wild.
Well, if I may, we have to start with the legal earthquake. Actually, earthquake might be an understatement. On May 14th, the Supreme Court issued a unanimous 9-0 decision in Montgomery versus Caribe Transport 2. And effectively, the broker as we knew it, the simple matchmaker, is dead.
Dead and buried. I mean, I told you guys years ago that hiding behind the FAA, that whole preemption shield, wasn't going to hold up forever when people were getting hurt.
But, Buck, the implications for the relationship between brokers and small carriers, it's sort of a nightmare, right?
It's more than a nightmare, Jules. You see, Justice Amy Coney Barrett wrote the opinion. The court ruled that negligent hiring claims against brokers fall under the safety exception. What that actually means is that state law claims for personal injury are not preempted. If a broker hires a carrier with a conditional rating, which is what happened with C.H. Robinson in the Montgomery case, the broker can be held liable for the accident.
And the market responded exactly how you'd expect, with total
panic.
Look, FreightWaves is reporting that 1 week after this ruling, truckload spot rates hit an all-time high of $3.73 per mile. That isn't just a bump. That's a moonshot.
Exactly. The reason for the spike isn't just capacity shrinkage in the traditional sense, but a vessel flight. Large brokers are terrified of their own shadow now. If they can't verify every single safety metric on a carrier in 10 seconds, they won't touch them.
So the small owner-operators, the guys Buck has spent his life with, they're being locked out of the best freight because their compliance score isn't perfect in some automated system?
Here's the deal, Jules. The thing is, if I'm a guy with 3 trucks and a clean record, but I haven't had a DOT inspection in 18 months, a broker looks at me now and sees a $50 million lawsuit waiting to happen. It doesn't matter how well I drive.
It's the flight to assets, Buck. Shippers are looking at the legal risk and saying, I'm not putting my logo on a trailer unless the guy behind the wheel is vetted through a high-frequency audit.
My thing is, we have to treat this like a ballroom competition. If your form isn't precise, the judges, or in this case, the plaintiff's attorneys, will gut you. According to the Dvorak Law Group, we are going to see a flood of these cases in state courts now. No more moving them to federal court where the preemption shield used to end the conversation.
It's sort of a gold rush for personal injury lawyers, right?
Unfortunately, yes. And the FMCSA, under Derek Bars, isn't helping the anxiety. they're moving toward an enforcement-first agenda.
Oh, Bars is looking to drop the hammer. He's essentially telling brokers, if you didn't do the due diligence, that's your P&L on the line, not ours.
It's a lot to manage, and it's actually moving the focus down south, too. If the U.S. domestic market is becoming a legal minefield, the cross-border trade is looking for ways to automate that risk away.
Well, that's actually a perfect pivot to what's happening in Mexico. While everyone is sweating the Supreme Court, the CPKC and CSX just upgraded the Southeast Mexico Express, the SMX. It's a dedicated train now.
More trains. The Iron Highway keeps getting longer.
Well, it's about reliability, Buck. I mean, we're talking about $1.7 billion in daily trade volume between the U.S. and Mexico. And the tech is catching up. A startup called Distea just launched something called Auto MVE.
Wait, isn't that the group run by the former Tesla exec, Lavertu?
Exactly. Françoise Lavertu. They're using AI to handle the Manifestación de Valor Electrónica. See, Mexico changed their customs law back in January, and it's been a mess. Like 37% of all declarations have errors.
And those errors lead to fines of up to 300% of the cargo value. I mean, talk about a risk management catastrophe.
Right. But this platform uses advanced math and artificial intelligence to pull data from documents and emails. It's taking a process that took an hour and dropping it to 5 minutes. It's about being predictive rather than reactive with the border agents.
If you can cut the dwell at border time by 80%, that's better than any diesel surcharge savings you could find. That's pure velocity.
Sounds great until the AI hallucinates a decimal point and some guy's shipment of car parts gets seized by the aduanas.
Buck, always the optimist. But seriously, CPKC and CSX are betting $700 million on a supply chain expansion in San Antonio to support this. They aren't doing that if they think the documentation is going to stay stuck in the 1990s.
Hey, before we move on to the massive infrastructure bill that just hit the House floor, I want to take a quick second for a note from our sponsor.
Oh, please do.
Strategic logistics really does require world-class engineering. And honestly, so does this show. We are powered by the Stack, developed by Eric Christensen at Neural Network Media. If you like the deep dives we do and the tech analysis, you should support the architect behind the code. Visit our Patreon at patreon.com/neuralnetworkmedia. You can get a free trial and access to our daily briefing PDF. It's the same data we're looking at right now in the operations room.
I use that PDF for my client calls, honestly. It's a lifesaver.
It's the playbook. Anyway, check them out at patreon.com/neuralnetworkmedia. Now, let's get back to the heavy lifting. Now it's time for The Week Ahead, our Sunday segment, where we look at the upcoming calendar and map out the chess moves you need to make for the next 7 days.
Sunday already, Dan? You're getting ahead of yourself with the holiday tomorrow.
Look, you play the game when the whistle blows. Tomorrow is Monday, May 25th, Memorial Day. While everyone else is at a barbecue, we're looking at a massive 15 to 20% capacity drain. Drivers are heading home. And combined with that Montgomery liability panic I just mentioned...
Here's the deal, Dan. If you don't have your loads covered for Tuesday morning already, you're going to be staring at those $3.73 spot rates and weeping.
Exactly. That's chess move number 1. Cover your Tuesday, Wednesday volume now. Chess move number 2 is the EIA Petroleum Status Report. It's delayed until Thursday, May 28th because of the holiday.
And WTI is flirting with $101 a barrel. If that inventory draw is more than 2 million barrels, surcharges are going to spike by Friday afternoon.
You're reading my mind, Elena. And for my market watch list pick for the week, keep your eyes on the Costco earnings call on Thursday.
Costco? Why?
Because they are the bellwether for retail inventory ratios. If Costco says they are restocking aggressively, that means the peak season surge is real and it's starting early. If they're cautious, we're staying in this supply-led recovery where only the big assets win.
Well, okay, that makes sense. I'll be watching those Port of Laredo throughput numbers on Tuesday, too.
That's the week ahead for this week. It's all about the holiday capacity gap and the fuel price spring. Watch your flank.
Speaking of watching your flank, we need to talk about this Build America 250 Act that the House T&I Committee just approved. $580 billion over 5 years. I mean, 580.
It's H.R. 8870, and the user pay aspect is what really caught my eye. They're finally looking at how to fix the Highway Trust Fund, since the EVs aren't paying fuel tax.
$130 a year for electric vehicle registrations and $35 for hybrids starting in 2029.
It's about time those silicon sleds started paying for the asphalt they're chewing up. But you know what really gets me? The bridge funding. $9.2 billion a year for a bridge formula program.
Right? After everything we saw in Baltimore and some of the other recent failures, that's just common sense. But Dan, didn't I see something about a federal framework for autonomous trucks in there too?
Yes! First time ever! We are moving beyond the state-by-state Wild West pilot programs. This bill creates a unified federal standard for interstate autonomous trucking.
The silicon drivers getting a federal license. Great. Just great.
Actually, Buck, it's a safety framework. It defines the rules of the road so we don't have 50 different liability standards. As a risk manager, that's the only way I can actually sleep at night. If I know what the federal standard for an autonomous event is, I can underwrite that.
It's the Building Unrivaled Infrastructure and Long-Term Development for the country's 250th anniversary. It's huge. It even puts money into a national cargo theft task force.
Which we desperately need. Cargo theft is up 20% year over year, according to some of the quarterly reports.
I mean, the whole thing feels like the government is finally realizing that logistics is the backbone, not just an afterthought.
Look, bottom line is this. The market is tightening. Between the Montgomery ruling scaring away the small broker capacity and the fuel volatility, we're seeing a supply-led recovery. The ATA tonnage index was flat in April, but it's up 3.5% year over year.
And FedEx Freight is spinning off in June. The when-issued market for those shares starts this Wednesday, May 27th.
That's going to be a fascinating divorce to watch. LTL King versus the parcel mud of the express and ground units.
It's a pure play LTL play. Saia's doing the same thing with their density blitz. They opened those terminals in Washington and Indiana earlier this month. They're daring the market to keep up with them.
It's a big man's game right now. If you aren't big enough to have your own legal team to fight those SCOTUS rulings, and you aren't big enough to have 2,100 terminals, you're going to be feeling the squeeze.
Precisely. It's about discipline. In ballroom, if you miss a step because you weren't focused on the fundamentals, the whole routine falls apart. The trucking industry just had the broker shield floor pulled out from under it. Only the ones who were already focused on safety as a service are going to stay on their feet.
Spot on. If you're a broker and you don't have a certified fraud compliance officer on your staff by the end of the year, honestly, you're uninsurable. Period.
I think that's all the reality checks we can handle for one Sunday. That does it for us here in the operations room for today's High Road. Just remember, folks, the SCOTUS ruling in Montgomery v. Caribe Transport is a complete reset of your risk profile. If you aren't auditing your carriers daily, you aren't just a broker, you're a target. And with spot rates hitting record highs, the cost of a mistake has never been more expensive.
Stay sharp out there.
Later.
See ya.
Keep it on the high road, or at least within the